So with our handsome Mr. Ethan, ready, sir? He's a huge fan of the Flirt pole. So we've been also doing some playing with sort of having an on-off switch and kind of going from being interested. Ready, Ethan? Ready? So I'm going to try and get his attention. Go get it. So I would recommend to have a slogan for starting the play. So like with my guys, I normally say, go get it. And then it can turn into being an alive creature. And then we catch the critter. Nice job. So with Mr. E, obviously there's all different brands out there. I think you guys did say you had one, which is awesome. So we may find for him a great way to generalize some of these skills is to bring the Flirt pole with maybe you to other venues. So be it your yard if he's doing great there, but maybe you bring it out on a little bit of a walk or to an environment where you're in a field, and then you can have him do a little bit of play and a little bit of focus. So with one of my other boys who's very toy driven, we would sometimes, to build comfort or resilience in new places, use those venues for play. So it wasn't always having to do focus work in the beginning. I find it can be really helpful to start off with, for example, exploration and kind of going and doing some sniffing and getting cozy in the bubble before including, for example, your practice of focus on you. So for one of my boys, again, toys are definitely more up his alley than the food. They both can be a little different at home. So Ethan, of course, says this one's all right, but it's not his absolute favorite. He prefers the sheepskin. So when it comes to your beauties, obviously getting them to practice, and sorry, I'm out of range for just a second. I was gonna go grab the other one. So we might go again, and now I have it. So Ethan, ready? He's like, I swear it's still underneath the barrier. Ethan, you ready? He's like, oh my gosh, how exciting, go get it. So again, when playing, I would recommend to keep the toy low on the floor. So one of my boys, as I've mentioned in the past, he's quite good at this game. He can jump through the air and catch it and land beautifully. But still, for safety reasons, make sure you have good traction. Make sure it's typically outside for the bigger boys and girls. Obviously, if it was Phoebe, you know, she's a bit smaller, but you still want to make sure that the traction is adequate. If it is only, for example, hardwood floor, tile, that's actually really slippery, and a lot of dogs can injure themselves while playing, even doing some simple fetching in the home. So with Mr. E, you can see he's a big fan of the sheepskin tuggy. He's like, greatest day of his life. Now you got a leash wedgie. So when your puppies go to pull, I sometimes will just lower and then sort of step on it for a second. So that way, for example, if he starts tugging, it's not going to slap me. If you're holding it, I know I've mentioned this a little bit in the past, is if you're holding it, it's not a tug toy, but some of the dogs will go and pull and then let go. And when they go to let go, it's not going to feel good if you're holding the pole up high and it slaps you. So right now, he's actually getting a little bit tired because as he's going and tugging and pulling on it, he's able to not actually get too far, but he's still able to do some of the fun things he enjoys. So grabbing and shaking and biting and tugging. So remember, the more dog-centric outlets we have, the more we're actually meeting a lot of times our dog's needs, and the less likely we are to potentially run into like what we would consider like behavioral trouble. Obviously, there is genetics that go into play. There is life experiences. There is maternal, so like what the mother had gone through and what she did while her puppies were in and out. So a lot of times he's doing great. He's like, I will get this creature. So maybe play for a handsome guy is his best venue for building resilience or checking in or you becoming part of the fun. If it was always the fun happens outside of us, and what I mean by that is I'm not saying your puppies can't enjoy going for a sniffy walk and be just a dog. I think that's crucial for their mental health too. But if, let's say, you are just like the anchor at the end of the lead or the end of the rope, then that's a moment where we don't have very much value, and then maybe the environment is much more stimulating. So if we're trying to connect that dot to us, we may find, he's like, I will one day catch this creature forever, is you may find that the more we become part of the game, the better that is for both of us. So if we can, again, be part of the equation, that means when our pups are maybe having a harder time, they do look to us for some help. So ready? Go get it. So again, now we will have the toy get up and wiggle. So we, again, keep it low so Mr. Handsome can chase, chase, chase. And you'll see that, again, I don't want to make it so hard he can't catch it. If you feel you're getting dizzy, again, I've done this a lot, so I do pretty well with the circles. But if you're finding that when you're doing circles, change up the pattern. Don't always do one direction. Make sure that when you're practicing, if you're doing circles, you maybe move around your yard. I tend to do like figure eights. So like I might swoosh it this way and the dog goes to try to grab and then I swoosh it the other way. So it's not always the same pattern, because if it's only one direction, the problem there is then your dog might be really good at, for example, running in only one direction. And almost like with us, they can be left and right-handed, almost sidewise. So your dog might prefer running to the left canter versus the right canter. So this is where for a lot of the dogs, you may find they have a particular side they'd rather. One of my boys likes to run more on one side than the other. He keeps trying to switch, even if the pole and the toy is going in a different direction. So you may find for Mr. Handsome, Mr. E, is that when he's playing with you, maybe make sure that you are practicing both sides. So that way he's not becoming like fitter on one side, if that makes sense. So we want to make sure that he's getting ample movement on both sides of his body. So like right now, he's just, I finally caught the critter, very exciting. He's also getting much better with the take it and drop it aspect of it, but I don't rush it. So like if, let's say again, he's doing some of this tugging, I like to lower the pole, step on it. So that way, again, he doesn't go to ricochet the toy and slap me with it. It's again, not going to be the end of the world. It just doesn't feel so great when they come to bonk ya. So like right here, he's going to get kind of tired from doing this tugging too, because of the fact that it's got a bungee. So it has give, which is nice, but it makes your puppy have to kind of work this sort of tuggy moment. And then you're not the one holding the tug and maybe making your shoulders quite as tired. There's another toy too that's called a spring pole, a little different than your Flirt pole. The spring pole is similar where we have an attachment with a rope. It's normally not necessarily always bungee. And what you can do is it normally comes as a kit and you can find it on Amazon. I'm not sure if Chewy's carries it, but it normally has different attachments and you would attach it up high and sort of loop it over a tree, or you could make your own sort of, what's it called? Like item to hang it from. I have one in the playroom over here where it hangs from the ceiling from one of the rafters, and then the dogs can actually grab and tug and pull on it. And part of it is eventually you might even have one that has a quick release. So as they catch the critter, you want to make sure they can win the toy so it's not too frustrating. But the nice thing, oh my gosh, so tired, is the nice thing about a lot of this dog play is this makes your dog feel really happy. So you're releasing a lot of serotonin and dopamine, and you're getting some physical exercise, which for everybody makes us normally feel better. So for our handsome guy, Flirt pole, spring pole, they could be great options for adding more play into even his home front. What a good job. You ready? We'll do another little moment. So and again, we have it run. He's like, oh my gosh, so close. So and he might catch it. So again, we just kind of rotate through catching the critter, taking a break, going and chasing. And again, you can step on it once more for safety. But you can see that he's getting kind of tired as he grabs it. He does relinquish the item and drops it because, of course, he has to pant. So you may have moments where these are a nice option for a lot of dogs that tend to have a lot of good oomph to them. But remember, play should also be structured. So I'm not saying that it can't be a free-for-all here and there. That's perfectly fine. But I wouldn't make it where this is his only outlet. Because like with one of my guys, he loves the Flirt pole and it's like his thing, that he could, literally would be the best day of his life every day if he could just be attached to it 24/7. But we don't want to create compulsion or like almost OCD behavior where then the dog can't fathom doing anything else or they can't bounce back and take a break from it. So play, even though it could become very fun, we want to be careful it doesn't become compulsive or repetitive to the point where we could harm the dog mentally or physically. So like right now, Mr. E says, I'm just going to lay over here with my BFF. You're so tired. And maybe what we'll do is we'll try and give him a little breather from the play, and we'll see if we can work another few skills. But Mr. E has been doing a gorgeous job for his, again, 4th day in the program. If, for example, he's taking a break from doggy day school, I know you had mentioned you wanted to get your poodle in, Roz, and maybe have her do the doggy day school at times. He is such a lovely player. Don't feel you must. But he could always do also the structured play to still get some more play time with other dogs his size and sort of play style. Because if, let's say, sometimes, he and his sibling do great together, wonderful. But sometimes it's nice to give them other venues other than each other, for playmates. So, but we'll give Mr. E a little breather and we'll see if we can work maybe a few other little skills. Ready? We'll do a little find it for the handsome guy. Nice job. So again, nice big paycheck. What a smart boy. He's like, oh my goodness, but I love my Flirt pole. Ready? We'll do a little find it. So again, we're gonna just move it out of range. I know he's in love, so we're just gonna sort of have it be out over here. See if we can get some function, some check-ins. But again, too, guys, if you find, Mr. E only has so much oomph in him, nice check-in, sir, is you may find that maybe there's only so much he can work in a session. So for some of the beauties, it's better short and sweet, which I find is helpful for all of them. But we may find for Mr. Handsome is maybe a couple minutes here and there throughout your daily routine, great way to implement training. Because I know I had mentioned for Mr. A, is if training's always something you like try to set aside to do, you may actually miss out on a lot of great windows that your dog is doing things or skills or behaviors you'd like to reinforce so they become more readily available in the future. Because if the only time you think about training is like, let's say in a training moment, then there's a lot of great opportunities we may have missed. So, but Mr. E is obviously rather winded after some flirt pole time. So maybe we'll give him a little breather and then we'll work a few more little skills. But he did a stellar job with all of his skill sets, and his loose leash walking as well has been progressively getting more and more comfortable. But I know he only has so much in him, and he says, I'd rather just play. He's trying to get the flirt pole again. But we want to make sure he gets little rest periods too. So, but keep rocking and rolling it. If you have questions or concerns, Ethan, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to see if I can get his little attention. Hi there. Come here, handsome boy. Nice job. So we'll feed him for this little check-in. So, but if you're ever struggling with something, don't forget I am available to chat. So don't feel it has to be that he's always in a program to ask a question or if you've got a little concern. Oh, there we go. So tired. But definitely make sure that as you're working with your handsome guy, just kind of think, am I reinforcing the skills I'd like to have happen again? Or am I by accident maybe giving more, let's say, for example, interactions for the things I don't love, and therefore the dog is maybe getting a little confused? Or could I manage the setup where he's just going to be most successful in these different venues? So, but for homework's sake, for Mr. Handsome, Mr. E, see if you can, again, keep a little log or a training log, see how things are progressing. Maybe things like I know I mentioned from our previous one-on-one is don't forget to think about your green, yellow, and red, like your set of lights again, and see, are there a lot more things that were once in yellow, maybe moving to the green zone, and things that were maybe in the red where he would just not be functional, he just didn't understand the skills, or he wasn't as attainable of capturing certain behavior. Then see if some of the stuff that was in red could maybe head towards the yellow and then go from there. But if our training always consists of green, easy peasy in and around the home or the yard, to then we go for a walk or a hike and there's a lot of surprises or distractions, you may never have a nice middle where your dog can be successful in building in those skills. Chew them, sir. Chewing is so hard when you're panting. But Mr. E did stellar. So we're going to give him a little breather. He did amazing. And then we'll work through some more of our friends. But really gorgeous guy you got at home. So keep up the good work with Mr. E.